I want to show you how I ran effective marketing strategies for a $50 million plus supplement company. And stick around to the very end. I'll give you all my templates and stuff like that. And you can use this in pretty much any business as far as I can think of, e-commerce, SaaS, service-based, whatever. It's all pretty universal no matter what software you use. That's a good part about it. You can take the things that you learn here, grab the templates, utilize it, and then pop it into the whatever software, task management software you use. So let's jump over to my computer and get that all sorted. All right, here we are at my computer, and what we're looking at here is just a simple spreadsheet. Now, the reason why I went about this in this way is because I actually learned this from a very smart marketer, Ezra Firestone over at Smart Marketer. I took this concept and then I started to morph it into what worked best for me. And so it's on a spreadsheet, but over time, as we started to get more sophisticated as a business, and honestly, we use this everywhere from, I think we were maybe doing $250,000 in a year, so like our very first year, all the way up to when we were doing $40 million in a year. And then we started to transition into a task management software called Asana, and then we replicated what we had here in Asana. So all that to say that if you don't have something like this currently, or you're not using a task management software, or you're looking at a spreadsheet like, no, I need to use a software, trust me, this works really well. And then once you get the hang of it in the process, moving it over to your task management software is a dream. So anyways, this is the process of how I went about formulating these marketing strategies. So I start with a calendar, and then I start diving into the more detailed pieces, being the communications and the social media. Everything else that goes into an event, like a banner for a web page or graphic design or anything like that, is kept separate in a separate task management. The things I'm going to speak mostly today is the actual communication pieces, social pieces for broadcasting your entire event. So let's start here at the calendar, because that's where I start. So after I've had multiple meetings with different departments and what we're planning on actually doing, and I have an idea of when the event starts and when the event ends, that's when I go to my calendar and I start plugging stuff in. It's like Legos at this point. So you can see at the very top of my screen, I've got a key that I follow, and then you can see this is December 2021. Don't worry, when you get this template, just change the date and rework all of the different days, and you can tack on the months afterwards. I know it's very archaic, but trust me, it works really well. Some of the most archaic things just work. So this is what I essentially did. So I know the start date and end date of my promo. I know the start date and end date of my sale. And in this case scenario, depending on whether you do like live events or classes or things of that nature, you could use that piece of the key. For this case scenario, I'm just going to use promo and sale to keep things simple. So I know the start and end date of my promo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to my key. I'm going to hit Command C if you're on Mac. I think Control C if you're on Windows. If you're on Windows, you should be on Mac. But let's say I start my promo on the 16th, which would be a Thursday of this week. So I'm just going to Command V, paste that in there, and I'm going to name my promo. I'm just going to name it Promo 1. Just for the sake of simplicity. And I'm going to say, hey, this promo rolls all the way through. If we're in December, it's going to roll all the way through that week. It's going to drop down here. Let me just copy this. And I'm going to roll it all the way through Christmas. And then I'm going to roll it all the way through this Wednesday, right? And I'm going to launch my sale event, which we'll call Sale 1 right here. And I'm just going to drag this out. And my sale is only going to be on this Thursday and this Friday. Given I would have maybe more days, it may be a 3-day sale, 4-day sale if the calendar is bigger. But for this case scenario, I think you get the point of me just putting it for these 2 days. So these days I'm going to promo. I'm going to be building my list up. I'm going to be talking about hype. I'm going to be building my early bird list. And then on the 30th and the 31st, that's when I'm going to launch my actual sale. So now I know when those dates are. So now I'm going to go back and start plugging things in. And I'm going to start plugging things in that I know are true even outside of a promo or a sale event. So let's say in this case scenario, I always do newsletters on Fridays. So I'm going to grab my newsletter key here. I'm going to paste it, and I'm just going to change the time because I know my newsletters are always at 6 a.m. Right? So I'm going to take that, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it on every Friday that's on this calendar right there. Because even during sale events, I still send out a newsletter. Now, your case scenario might be different. You might not send out a newsletter that day, or you might be like myself, where you send out a newsletter, but you cater it towards the sale or whatever it might be, right? Let's say I also do a live broadcast every Wednesday at 10 a.m. So I'm going to take my live broadcast key, I'm going to paste it here, and I'm going to change this to 10 a.m. So now I'm going to copy this all the way down this calendar here. And let's say those are the only things that are, the same inside and outside of promo and sales. And so now I've got my infrastructure laid out. I know everything. I know all the dates of when the promo and the sale is happening. I know all the dates of just my normal communication. Now I'm going to go start layering in when I want to send out specific communication for this event, or do certain social posts or things of that nature. So for the sake of time here, I'm just going to move somewhat quickly. I think you understand the point. So if I'm starting my promo on the 16th, I probably want an dedicated email for that promo going out that day, let's say 6 a.m. And then I probably want an SMS going out that day, probably around, 12 p.m. because I don't want to wake people up. Let's say I have a push notification going out that day as well. And that's going out at 2 p.m. Make sure that looks pretty there, 2 p.m. And then let's say I've got a social post going out that day as well at 5 p.m., right? So now I'm just going to follow that trend, right? So when else do I have dedicated emails? I'm probably going to send another one up here. I'm probably going to send one here. I'm probably going to send a few on this day. I'm probably going to do an SMS this day. At this point, I'm just adding stuff randomly. I'll probably do a YouTube video here. So you're starting to fill in the gaps of what your event actually looks like. What this allows you to do is take a step back and look at the thing and say, oh, now I can move stuff around, put stuff at different times, and I understand how the whole event is supposed to align when it comes to a communication perspective, right? So you're looking at this thing almost as like a war general looks at like their map and starts to move different pieces, or like a chess game. That's essentially what we're doing for strategizing our event, is we're plugging in all these pieces to understand where everything's going to go. And we might know that, hey, during a live broadcast day, we get a lot more traffic. So we might want to capitalize on that and send a little bit more communication on live broadcast days, and a little bit less communication the day after those days, So you might move and change things based on your normal cadence. So that's why I don't want to get too far into the details here. It's just a matter of moving stuff around, changing the times, etc. So say I've got everything I need here, right? I know exactly when the communication's going out. I've met with my team and I say, hey, here's the proposed roadmap. This is exactly what we're going to be sending out over the time. If we get agreements on all team members, now it's start to actually put this stuff into play. So that brings us to our charter. Once again, this came from Smart Marketer at Firestone, very smart people. And I just took it and tweaked it. So what we have here is our charter. Now our charter is effectively what we just went through here on the calendar, just in more detail. So now if you can imagine Thursday, March 3rd, here's all the different pieces of communication that might go out this day. And here's the finer details of what we want for that piece of communication. The next step after this is going in even further and saying, what does that piece of communication say, right? But we want to start super high level and start working our way down. We don't want to start with the details and try and work up, because then you start getting confused on when things are. If you start high level and start working your way down, then you allow yourself to put in the details based on your understanding of how the entire event is going to work together, right? You're planning an entire choreography of something, and now you want to start digging into the details of like what movements need to happen. So that's what we're doing. So we started really broad, and now we're coming a little bit smaller, and then something I'm not going to go over to this video is actually writing the copy of your email. You probably, if you're watching this, you probably have some way of doing that, right? So I'm not going to go into that. But This is just the planning. So essentially what I have here is, all right, here's the day it's going out. I can double click this and I can change the date. I can click here and change the time. And this just tells me what's the focus, right? Is this a newsletter? And these can all be changed. It's like, this is my terminology. A newsletter is a lot of information in one email. Dedicated is dedicated to one thing. A reminder is literally a reminder, like, hey, like this event is starting. A notification is like, hey, we just have this new thing, blah, blah, blah. And then ADL, USP, update, urgency, scarcity. Now, this is the thing that we want to highlight, right? Is this an announcement? Is there a deadline? Is there a unique selling proposition involved? Is it just an update? Are we using urgency, or are we using scarcity in the email? So that's just my terminology. Once again, you might have your own formula to how you write communications. So I don't expect anybody to use these. This was specific to that business and what we utilize. So these can all be changed, but this is how I would do it. So let's stay with this one row, for example, and say, all right, we've got a email going out Thursday, March 3rd at 12 a.m. That's a terrible time. Let's change this to 12 p.m. And let's say it's a dedicated email, and I want the copywriter to focus on scarcity. So that's going to be the key highlight in that email is scarcity. Now my promo link might be promo.com, whatever. And then my subject line, so I always take this one into account as well, because the subject line, if nobody opens your email, they're not going to go where you want them to go. So I always write these first before the actual copy of the email. Start with the subject line and then go to the copy. You might have a different way of going about it. This is the way that worked best for me. So I might just say this is terrible, subject line, copy, don't do this. Super awesome email, right? And then I want my recipients to be everybody that opened open an email in the last 30 days. And then my exclusions might be purchased in the last 7 days, right? So I might want to exclude, I might want to include everybody that's opened an email in the last 30 days, but exclude everybody that's purchased in the last 7 days. So I'll do this for all of these rows, and I'll go through the promo sequence, the registration, the event, if there is these two. If not, I remove them, just delete. And then the sale, and then I'll go through SMS and push notifications. It's all the same thing. We're just talking about, we're just putting in who we're talking to, what's the key highlight, what's the focus, what's the subject line, essentially. Text messages and push notifications, the only thing that's different is a text message doesn't have a process before they open it, right? They just have the actual copy, same with a push notification. So up here for emails, you need subject lines, you need preview text, etc. For SMS, just putting the copy down here because it's a smaller amount of characters. Then once all that has been written out, then it goes through the QC and the scheduled process. So has this been QC'd, yes or no? Person in charge of QCing will QC it. The market is yes, and then the person in charge of scheduling it will schedule it yes. So that's the process from going from calendar to here. Now that was just communication. Social media has a totally different kind of layout because social media is a little bit different. Well, it's a lot different than an email, for example. So we have the same kind of situation here. So say we have a social media post going out Thursday, March 3rd. Let's change this to 12 p.m. What's the type of content? Is it live? Like, hey, somebody's going live at this time? Or is it directed towards the sale? Is it just a general piece of communication? Are we telling people to register? Or are we notifying everybody like, hey, this thing is happening? So in this case, I'm just going to put sale. The topic might be sale. And I'd probably go a little bit more in depth than what that is. I'm just doing that for the sake of time. What happened here? Pause. There we go. And then the social network that it's going on, it might be Instagram. What is it? Is it a video? Is it an image? Is it a graphic? Is it a GIF? It's an image in this case. I'll put my copy here. I'll put the link to the actual asset. What this means is like, what is the, where is the image that is going to be used in the post? So I'll link to that. Oftentimes we use the Google Drive, so I just put the Google Drive link right there. What's the call to action? Every post needs a call to action, whether it's just like this post or if it's go buy the thing. So what's the call to action? This might be link in the bio, obviously for Instagram, but I'd put the actual link here just to say like, hey, this is where we're driving everybody. We know we have to say link in the bio, but this is where they'll end up. Then we go through approval. So once we have all this in, now we pass it to the team that's supposed to approve, and they'll go through and say yes, no, yes, no. And then we have the live link. Once it's already been posted, then we put the live link here, and we can check it out at a later date. So that's the process from going from how we plan an entire event. This, like I said, that we took this from, when we're doing barely $250,000 a year all the way up to 40 million, and then we transitioned into Asana. And then we take that calendar and then we actually start building in the communications and everything a part of it. This has helped me so much when it comes to planning events because it gets all of the moving parts in one area. Once you have all the moving parts in one area, now you can really start to focus on the details without any worry. You know exactly what you're talking about. You know exactly what pieces are moving and when. And now you can start to actually cater the details of an email around everything else because you know what's happening tomorrow and you know what's happening 2 weeks from now and you know what angles you'll be using. So I hope you find this helpful. If you want this, I'm going to leave the links for the calendar and for the charter in the description. That way you can copy this entire thing, duplicate it into your own Google Sheets, your own Google Drive, maybe you use Excel, whatever it might be, and you can use it in your business. Or you could just copy it, study it, and put it into your task management platform like Asana or Monday.com or whatever it might be, and hopefully it helps you out. So, hey, real quick, let me show you how to do this, just in case you open the link in the description and you're like, whoa, wait, I can't do anything. What do I do? So you'll have a link that looks something like this. I'm in an incognito window, so it doesn't recognize me. I can't edit anything, right? It's all just view based. I can't move anything around, etc. You have two options what you can do. So you could hit this little icon or button, whatever you want to call this up here, and then copy it and then paste it in your own sheet. That is one option. Or you can come up here to File, Download. You can download it for Excel, PDF, whatever. I'd suggest downloading it as an Excel file. Then once it's downloaded as an Excel file, you can upload it into Google Sheets or whatever it might be. The reason I do this is because, you don't want to send this to one person and then one person's like, haha, let me mess everybody else up. So it's view only. Just copy it or hit the button up here and download it. Simple enough. So anyways, back to the video. The links will be in the description so you can grab them. Don't worry, I'm not trying to capture your email or anything like that. You literally just click on the link. You'll have a version here that you can't edit, but you can copy, and then you can download it yourself and totally utilize it. So I hope this actually really helps you because it really helped me, and I think it was a pivotal thing when it comes to building up our MAT, marketing, analytics, and tech within the supplement company that we grew. So, all right, that's it. Bye.